Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. In today's video, we are previewing the Week 10 matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is probably the best game on slate for Week 10. It's going to be awesome. There's a lot to talk about in this preview video, so let's not waste any time and let's jump right in. In Week 10, the 49ers are traveling all the way to Florida to take on the very good Jacksonville Jaguars. However, heading into this matchup, the Niners are actually favored by 3 points, which is a little bit surprising when you consider just how both of these teams have been playing recently. The over-under for this game is 45.5 points, so they're thinking that's going to be a relatively low-scoring game, nothing like the high-power offenses that you're used to seeing in the NFL these days. The weather, possibility of rain, to me, I would much rather like a dry weather game, let the Niners offense do their thing. Now, when we look at this matchup, the first thing we have to talk about for the 49ers are some of the breaking news that's happened over the last number of days. Trading for Chase Young, that was a really good trade for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm excited to see the impact he has on the defense getting after the quarterback. The other big change for the 49ers is going to be Steve Wilks, defensive coordinator, will now be coordinating from the sideline, not up in the booth. You might see this as a desperation move, and maybe it is, but I'm really curious to see how Steve Wilks does on the sideline. By all accounts, he's great with the players, really good relationships with his players, so I think that could be a really beneficial difference to the 49ers defense, which, let's be honest, it has struggled in its last 3 games. Now, both teams are coming off a bye week, and I think overall this actually plays into the favor of the 49ers. I think we needed this bye week more than any other team, maybe in the NFL. We lost 3 games in a row. Now we get to take a seat, relax, reset, and then go ahead and do our thing heading into the second half of the season, where the last couple of years the Niners have done really well. For Jacksonville, I think it's kind of come at a bad time. Now look, any team will always take their bye week when they can get it. However, momentum with the Jaguars. They've won 5 games in a row. Some of them not pretty, but however, 5 games in a row is 5 games in a row in the NFL, and they've just been rolling their way towards taking the AFC South and claiming that division pretty early in the season. They're by far the best team in that division, and maybe this bye week kind of just halts their momentum. So it's one of those things where I think for the Niners, it really worked out well that the Jaguars not going to be able to keep their momentum. Niners were able to reset and hopefully kick off the second half of the season with a big win. Now, before we get into the specifics of what the Niners need to do offensively and some key players, I think it's important that we cover the injuries. Big thing for the 49ers is going to be on the offensive line. Aaron Banks, left guard, who I think is really good, he's going to be out for this game. Hopefully he's back next week against Tampa Bay, but I think it might be the Week 12 matchup against Seattle before we see Banks again. The good news is that potentially Trent Williams will be back, and we need Trent back. Our run game since he's been out has taken a steep decline, and that is going to be something we're going to talk about a little bit later. Some other good news, though, is that Deebo Samuel, full participant, he is back, and I think his absence has just shown you how valuable he is to the 49ers offense. He's such a versatile, high-powered weapon. He hasn't had the best, amazing year so far, but it just goes to show you what he brings to the offense, because it struggled without him. The first 5 games of the year, we're averaging 30 plus points a game. The last 3 weeks, only 17, and Deebo's missed the majority of the last 3 weeks. So coming up next, guys, what we're going to talk about are what are some of the things the Niners need to do in order to get the win in Jacksonville. Let's first talk about the 49ers offense. And I think the biggest thing that stands out to me, especially in the last 2 games, is the 49ers were just completely unable to get the run game going. We were not able to establish the run game. And if we've seen anything from Kyle Shanahan's offense, and pretty much any offense in the NFL, but particularly Shanahan's, is that our offense runs best when we get the run game going. We can hit teams with play action. We can hit teams with some really creative plays in the passing game, but the run sets all of it up. The last 2 weeks against Minnesota, against Cincinnati, it's been non-existent. So I'll be really curious to see during the bye week what Shanahan and Anthony Lynn and Bobby Turner and all these guys on the offensive coaching staff, what they've seen, where the struggles have come from in the run game, and what we can do to rectify that. I think in the run game, we're going to have to get really creative with end arounds. We're going to have to run the ball maybe out of shotgun a little bit more. Of course, we're going to do our I formations. We're going to do our heavy formations with Juszczyk and Kittle leading the way. But I think we just have to throw some different looks at defenses. They're really keying in on the run game, and we have to find a way to get that going. Some other big things that the Niners offense are absolutely going to have to do is just limit turnovers. The last few weeks, Brock Purdy has turned the ball over a lot, especially in key areas in the red zone. The Jacksonville Jaguar defense is actually tied for the NFL lead with takeaways. They have 18 takeaways. That's over 2 takeaways a game. We can't do that. We're against a tough opponent on the road. You can't have turnovers, but especially in crucial areas like the red zone. We've seen it against, the Cincinnati Bengals where Purdy throws the interception. Christian McCaffrey against the Vikings fumbles the ball. That just can't do that when you're playing a good opponent on the road. And Jacksonville, they can take the ball away. The last thing that we need to do is convert in the red zone. It goes, we've lost so many opportunities the last few weeks where we can put up points, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the previous point. But if you look at Jacksonville, they're actually 10th from the bottom in terms of giving up yards. So the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, they play a bend don't break defense. They're willing to let you just kind of, march your way down the field, but then they really tighten up when it comes to the red zone, and that's reflected in their points allowed per game, which they're in the top 10 in the NFL, so they allow the 9th fewest points. So they're saying, we're going to give up yards, but we're not going to give up points. We're only going to give up maybe field goals, or else we're going to bank on our defense being able to make a big play and a turnover, and we can't allow them to do that. We got to convert in the red zone. Shanahan's got to get creative there, and we got to convert touchdowns there, because the offense of the Jaguars, they are able to move the football. So what do the 49ers defense need to do to now slow down this Jacksonville Jaguars offense? Well, same as what we would do offensively, but we have to slow down and stop the Jaguars run game. Too many times the last few weeks, opponents are getting 6-7 yards on first down, setting up 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, where basically the entire playbook is open. And then the defense has to kind of play, on its heels. They can't really be uber aggressive. They can't be overly aggressive. They have to kind of play the down. So if we can get back to 49er football, which is being really, really good on first down, forcing Trevor Lawrence to have to sit back there, stand back there in the pocket with all of our edge rushers now and make the throw. And that's what we have to do. 49ers defense has taken a bit of a decline, but overall, when you look statistically, we're still really, really good. But troubling signs against Cincinnati, who are a fantastic offense, let's not take that away. But with troubling signs against Minnesota, that's where it's not great. Minnesota without Justin Jefferson. So leading on from that, though, of course, if we can slow down the run, you gotta pressure the quarterback. Now, when you look statistically at PFF ratings and all these kind of things, the Niners are near the top in pressure, but the pressure's not doing anything. It's not affecting anything. We got a ton of pressure on Kirk Cousins. We got some pressure on Joe Burrow, but it's still leading to completions. So what we need to do is we need to get home. That means sacks. Can we force some fumbles? Even if we force maybe some errant throws, which lead to interceptions. Adding Chase Young, that's a huge piece to the defense. You have Nick Bosa, who's getting pressures, but he's not having nearly the impact that I would like to see from a reigning defensive player of the year. Also, guys like Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave, for me, I hold these guys in high regard, highly respected players. They got to do a little bit better getting after the quarterback. Seeing the talent on this defensive line is just crazy that we're not, looking like the defense that we saw in 2019. And what's going to lead on to that is what I think is going on is I think the Niners defense is a little bit too predictable. I think we have to mix up coverages, run maybe a lot more zone. Of course, you have to sprinkle in man, but we have to be more unpredictable so the quarterback just can't tell right before the play, here's exactly what the coverage is. I think we have to disguise our coverages a little bit more, and that makes the quarterback have to hesitate, see how the play develops, and then you're hoping that guys like Chase Young and Nick Bosa and Farrell and all the guys we have on the D-line can get home, get sacks, force pressures, all of that good stuff. This is not going to be an easy game, this is going to be a battle, dogfight from beginning to end. I can't wait for it. It's going to be really good. But next, guys, what I'm going to talk about are some key players for both teams, and then I'm going to give you my predictions for the game. When it comes to key players for the Jacksonville Jaguars that we need to keep an eye on, I'm not going to state the obvious and say Trevor Lawrence. We know the quarterback, we have to keep an eye on him. But I'm going to go running back Travis Etienne. When you look at his yards per game and how much he scored this year, it's really impressive. He has over 800 all-purpose yards. He has 8 touchdowns. So he's averaging about 100 yards all-purpose, rushing and receiving, and a touchdown every single game is what he's averaging. If we can slow him down, put him in difficult situations, put Lawrence in difficult situations, that's going to lead to good things for the 49ers. I think you're going to have to see Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw really step up in coverage because they're going to be tasked with slowing down ETN when he comes out of the backfield on screen passes. We're going to have to be disciplined, but you can't let ETN beat you. If we can limit what he does, that changes what they do offensively. They want to get him involved early and often, get him a bunch of touches where he can use his athleticism to make plays offensively. Travis Etienne is absolutely the guy that you want to keep an eye on with the Jaguars offense. Now, if we move to the Jaguars defense, edge rusher Josh Allen, this guy's a beast. He already has 9 sacks on the year. He's on pace for maybe hitting 20 sacks, which is just crazy. I remember edge rusher Josh Allen, not quarterback Josh Allen for the Bills, but he is a fantastic player. Big question mark is, will Trent Williams be out there for the 49ers? If he is, then expect to see Josh Allen lined up over Colton McKivitz. And it feels like every single week in the NFL, we're going up against some elite edge rushers. So it won't be anything new necessarily for Colton McKivitz. But believe me, I'm going to be keeping my eye on Josh Allen when it comes to when the ball gets snapped. If it's going to be a pass play, I'll be keeping an eye. He's number 41. Can't let him out of your sights. Maybe we have George Kittle or Charlie Werner or Juszczyk chip him a little bit, make things a little bit more difficult for him, but he's absolutely a guy to keep an eye on. And the other player, the last player that we're going to talk about as a key player for the Jaguars, also on defense, is going to be Darius Williams, the cornerback. He's had a really good year by all accounts. 3 interceptions, one of those returned for a touchdown, 14 passes defense, which means he's getting targeted a lot, but he's also breaking up a whole bunch of passes. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he does and how he does matching up against Ayuk. Deebo Samuel's back, Jawan Jennings, these guys. He is going to have his work cut out for him on Sunday, and I'd like to think that Shanahan's really going to dial up some unique stuff that Jacksonville haven't seen before. Now, when we move on to the 49ers, some key players that we're going to talk about, and these are all going to be superstar guys. First guy, offense, Deebo Samuel. We welcome him back. He's been out for the last few weeks. I want to see how he does after, being out for the last basically 3 full games. He's had a month off. Now he's coming back from injury, but can he have a big impact for the 49ers? I want to see a vintage 2021 type game from Deebo, doing it all over the field, receiving, running the ball, being a great decoy, opening up the offense, and really just causing all kinds of problems and mismatches for the Jaguars defense. That's what I want to see from Deebo. I think this is a Deebo Samuel type game. To me, he has maybe 100 all-purpose yards and a touchdown in this game. Expect a big thing from Deebo, who's really just anxious to get back out on the field. Now, when we move to our defensive side, Nick Bosa. I think, Nick Bosa, he's gotten pressures and he's been good against the run, but I'm looking for those splash highlight plays. I want to see him sack Lawrence 2-3 times, force some bad throws from Lawrence, maybe that lead to interceptions, get some sacks, force fumbles, do the stuff that we're accustomed to seeing from Nick Bosa. There's really no excuse. We have Armstead, we have Hargrave, we have Chase Young on the opposite side, we have Randy Gregory rotating in. Bosa needs to step up and play better. I don't think he's played terrible by any means, but he needs to play at superstar level for this defense to go. For this defense to be, and any defense to be successful, the edge rushers have to get home quickly, and we haven't seen it so far this year. The last guy that I want to talk about as a key player for the 49ers is going to be someone who's actually just really flown under the radar for most of this season, and that's Talanoa Hufanga. He was an All-Pro last year. He was on the starting All-Pro team last year. What a great player Hufanga's. He's been pretty quiet. What he's known for are those splash plays, the big hits, the interceptions. I want to see something out of him, whether it's, coming in for a sack, really good coverage against the tight end. They have a good one in Evan Ingram, making some plays in the backfield in the secondary. I want to see Hufanga have that big, game, and we saw him have so many good games last season. I want to see the 2022 version of Hufanga on Sunday. Look, I do have a lot of confidence that with the bye week, Steve Wilks and the entire defensive coaching staff would have really had to look at themselves and see what's gone wrong the last 3 weeks. And I really do have faith that they will be able to correct the majority of the mistakes, but we're going up against a darn good team in Jacksonville. The good news is, if we can beat Jacksonville, we would move to 6-3. We have a winnable game after that against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home, and then we have a crazy stretch, which is going to be super important, which is going to be playing against Seattle, Philadelphia, and Seattle again. And that's the 3-game stretch that's really going to decide our season, whether we could be number 1 seed, number 6 seed, who knows. But there's a lot of fun to come up here coming up soon, guys, for the 49ers. Some really good games coming up, and it's starting on Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, before we end the video, let me give you my prediction. I think it's going to be a really close game. I'm going to have the Niners 24, the Jaguars 23. I want to see, and I'm just trying to will it to happen, but I think the Niners can get the win coming out of the bye week. We're notoriously, the last couple of years, we're so good in the second half of the year. I want to see the Niners come out. A lot of, heads hanging in the 49er fan base, but I think we're going to travel well. There's going to be a whole bunch of Niner fans there, and I think we get a big win that gets the season back on track. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below about this game. How are you feeling heading into this matchup? It's such a big-time game, and again, one of the best, if not the best matchup that we're going to see in the NFL this weekend. Well, there you have it, guys. If you enjoyed the content, drop a like on the video, share it on social media, and feel free to subscribe to the channel. I will be going live and I will be streaming this game. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. If you haven't been there before, it's a ton of fun. We have such a good community, so check me out there on Sunday. It's going to be 10 a.m. Pacific time. But there you have it, guys. And before I head out, I'm going to say 2 things. The butt counts, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.